Hello everyone, this is Toma from Bonciu.com. I'm a landscape photographer from Romania, and today I want to talk about the importance of getting it right inside the camera. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm a strong advocate for post-processing your photos, and I think this is the way that you can put your mark on a photo as an artist. But I also think that you have to get the best shot right inside your camera if you want to have the best dramatic results in your photos. Now I have here, first of all, I want to show you these three photos. I'm in the library module of Lightroom, and let's collapse this. Double click on this photo to take a look at it. So this is the initial photo I did on a small pond. It is an interesting place because of the color that the water has. Now, I shot this only with a polarizer, and I decided to measure the exposure in this area over here, in the bright areas from over here. I wanted to obtain I wanted to concentrate the eye more on this area because the sun was shining in this spot. Unfortunately, there were some clouds on the sky in that day, so the difference in stops of light between the dark areas and the bright areas weren't that big, so to create a strong difference. And then I decided, okay, if only using the exposure doesn't work, why not try using my ND gradual filters? And I came and placed a gradual filter, something like this, in the position in an oblique position, in a diagonal like this, and another gradual filter in this area. And I wanted to darken this part and then darken this part, so I have a concentration of light in this area. And I tried the first photo, and the result was something like this. And as you can see, immediately your eyes are drawn to this area, and this is done without editing, without anything. It's just me trying to get as much as possible inside the camera, and then I take it up one step and obtain something like this. Of course, that this might be an image of too much of a contrast, but also I can I can control these areas and bring some brightness in this area and a little bit of brightness in this area to compensate, and if I don't want to have such a big contrast. But again, this was an exercise that I wanted to do in order to get the best inside the camera. Now, another photo that I want to talk about, and then I will quickly edit these photos. Another photo that I want to talk about is this one. Again, the first photo I did was without a gradual filter in the top area, and your eye kind of escaped in the upper part. Again, this is not an edited photo, and as you can see, the horizon line it's not that straight. This is a problem that often happens, especially when you are doing portrait landscapes and you are in strange positions. You kind of you don't realize where the horizon line is. Here I was standing in the water. It's not necessarily because the water was cold, but because I had a really strange position. I wasn't able to get down enough because of the water. So I always try to align my vertical edges of the photo with something that is vertical, the trees and something like this. But I guess that I didn't did such a good job that day. So these three photos were made in this photo was made in a different location from this one, but all these photos were done a few weeks ago when autumn started to come and visit Romania. So I wanted to show you that only with few touches an autumn photo can become really interesting. So I will edit this photo over here, and then maybe this one just a little bit, and in the end this one. So if you're going to get the exposure right, the composition right, your focusing, your sharpness right, and if you're doing all these things okay in camera, then when you're having a perfect light, then editing only will help you increase the overall feeling of the photo, and you will not need to do strong editings in order to get an interesting effect. Let's start with this photo. If Lightroom open it, as you can see, everything is resetted. Now I will enable profile correction and remove chromatic aberration. Okay, I will control the masking for the sharpening, just to be sure that I'm not adding any noise, any unnecessary noise. And I'm also going to introduce a 15 value on luminance. This is something that I do on almost all my photos. Now the first thing that I have to do in this photo is getting it right. So with the crop tool activated, I will rotate it a little bit just to have okay, a vertical photo. Now everything is okay. As you can see, there is nothing okay, there are a few areas that are clipped over here with a little highlight. Things are resolved. When photographing in autumn, I usually use a white balance of daylight, simply because it's easier for me to correct the colors. If you have a gray card, you can bring it with you. It can help you a lot in correcting the colors. Now, just by increasing the temperature or making it much more cooler, you can correct different areas of the photo, and then using a gradual filter, you can further adjust the temperature, the color temperature, and have much more and you can have much more control on your photos. Now this kind of adjusting the temperature of color in order to have a great white balance is something that you have to do in every photo. You have to have let's say green moss and not yellow moss, and green trees if the trees were green. Okay, and the only thing that I did, as you can see, I've adjusted the white balance, then a little bit of vibrance, a little bit of highlights, and then in the end maybe just some exposure increasing, some exposure increased in this central area. Okay, and I think this is done. If you're going to look, if you take a look at the first photo, the entire sensation of this photo comes from adjusting the white balance. And if you learn to do it right, then you can obtain an interesting photo. Now I have to admit that I don't do my adjustments for color temperature in Lightroom. I'm used to do them in Photoshop. I think that I have much more control, and then I can get the green that I want, for example, in this area, then the green that I want in this area, and so on and so forth. But then again, this was the original photo, and this is the final one. As you can see, very small touches, on the photo. Let's take a look at let's say this one. Okay, this one that still has, the way that I placed my gradual filters was, one was like this and the other one was like this. Of course that I had maybe 3 stops in this area and 2 stops in this area. I don't have gradual I have my gradual filters are 1 stop, 2 stops and 3 stops. Okay, what do I want to do with this photo? First of all, I want to enable the profile correction and remove chromatic aberration, and also introduce a 15 luminance value, and holding down the Alt key, create a good masking, making sure I'm not introducing noise in the photo. Again, I will adjust a little bit the temperature of the photo. You will always have a color cast in your photos, and that is why you need to come and adjust the temperature and the tint of your photos if you want to have a good white balance. So I did something like this. Then I will increase the vibrance in the photo, and maybe the only thing I'm going to do is increase this thing that I did with the gradual filters. Now I realize that I'm trying to mimic the other photo that I did that had this kind of effect already in place by using gradual filters. Okay, so again, this was the original photo, and with few touches you're ending in having something like this. Maybe I will add some more light in this area. There are small touches, of course, that I can retouch these photos further. I can increase the colors, I can introduce new light, and I can manipulate the photos further, especially for getting the colors that I want. But also I wanted to show you that with only few touches, if you are working your photos inside the camera, especially the exposure and the composition, but I'm only referring here to exposure because the composition you can't always correct in post-processing. Only if you have a very, very high megapixel camera, then you can crop the image and redo the composition, and even that can't help you in all the cases. But if you're getting the composition right and the exposure right inside your camera, then you have a much more easier job in retouching, and your photos will I think will look much more interesting. So if we're looking, for example, at this photo here, it kind of has the dramatic effect that I want to get here, but this photo, everything is done inside the camera. For example, if I'm going to alter the color temperature in this photo also, and I'm also going to increase the temperature, just a little bit of shadows and a little bit of vibrance. I mean, this is the photo, simply put, and I think I don't have to do anything that will affect this photo. So I think the way it looks now, it's okay, and this was basically done inside the camera. If you're looking at the original photo, all that happens is the color shift because of the white balance from the camera. And as I told you, I'm used to do this kind of color correction in Photoshop because I feel that I have much more control on different channels, and I can get a better result than this one. But if you're only using Lightroom, and I know that many photographers only use Lightroom, then I think that you can get interesting results just by doing few touches on your photos, if you're concentrating more on getting it right inside your camera on the field. So thanks for watching. This was my comeback video because I saw that for a month I did any videos. I hope to come back with more and more videos each week. We'll see about that, and until next time, keep on photographing is the only way that you can get better, and keep sharing my channel with your friends to to get more subscribers basically. Thanks for watching and bye bye.